Some months back, my friends, I put up my preview of this stove here. This is from BRS, and this is the BRS-32 dual burner stove. In that episode, I went over the product in detail, and I shared my thoughts and opinions of this product based upon my initial testing. In this episode, I'm ready to share with you all my agenda-free review of this product here. I have thoroughly tested this out in a wide range of conditions and situations, and I'm now ready to share my list of pros and cons for the BRS-32. Before I open up this stove and show it to you all, I need to say this. This is, without a doubt, the most unique stove I have tested out throughout the history of this channel. I have tested out and reviewed hundreds of stoves, and this is, without a doubt, the most interesting and unique one. It is truly different than anything else out on the market today. And get this, everyone, it does just about everything correctly. This stove is fairly lightweight, it performs extremely well, it's very slim, as you can see here, it's very cool, and it's also inexpensive. Before we dive into the review of this stove here, let's take a look at what you receive. So you do receive this case here, and as you can see, it is very, very unique. We have a grab handle up here, a single zipper, and here we have the stove itself. This is what makes the BRS-32 stove so unique. You can see the very slim profile. Well, watch this, everyone. Boom. Just like that, the stove expands. Once you have the stove expanded like this, you can lock in the side panels. Just like that. Let's go over the important features of this stove real quick. We have 2 burners. We have 2 heat pipes. We have 4 pot supports for each burner and 4 legs. With the hose here, it's actually 2 hoses, all going to the same gas canister, and here we have 2 fuel adjusters. Additionally, we have walls that surround each burner head, which act as windscreens. That, everyone, is the BRS-32 stove. Now let's go over some stats. I tell you what, before I do that, actually, let me tell you all this. I have a preview of this stove that goes over every single aspect concerning it, every single stat. In this episode, I'm not going to do that. I'm touching upon the main points only. This is a review. We're focusing on the review. So if you want more information concerning the stove after this episode, check out the preview because I've gone over every single detail. With that being said, this stove runs on multiple types of fuel. Out of the box, this runs on isobutane, but with adapters, you could burn butane and propane. Each burner head offers 6,600 BTUs. When the stove is stored, it is an impressive 12 inches long, 4.5 inches tall, 4 inches wide. When you expand the stove, it becomes 16.3 inches long, 7.3 inches wide, and it stands 3.74 inches tall. It is made from a combination of stainless steel, aluminum, copper, and brass. It weighs 2.4 pounds for the stove alone, and you can add 4 ounces for the case. And the price of this is $60. And now, my friends, we are getting closer to the review aspect. As far as my testing goes, I began testing this out in the summer of 2023. Since that point in time, I've tested it out in warm conditions, cold conditions, really cold conditions, and so on. I've used this at my off-grid cabin, in the back of my 4Runner, out on camping trips, and so on. I've used it on beautiful days as well as windy, miserable days. And with that, it is time to begin the review, starting with the pros. The first pro for this stove is quality. It is excellent for the money. In fact, I've had no issues with this stove at all. It has always worked, there's never been a failure, and the construction of this is very good. This stove features a very small profile, which means that it's easy to store. Then, when you expand the stove, it becomes very stable, and it offers you a very good platform to cook on, to heat on, and so on. The pot supports are excellent. You have some jimping. It does a good job keeping your pots in place. As far as the weight goes for this stove, it is excellent. For a double burner stove weighing a little bit more than 2 pounds, that's not bad at all. The ease of use with this stove is excellent. Setting this up, it takes no time at all. Breaking it down, no time at all. The entire process, both of those processes, I should say, are very easy. The adjusters are excellent, and you can easily turn up the flame and also dial it back. This stove does a good job of going all out, maximum BTUs, and you can also simmer. Additionally, you do get excellent performance from each burner head, individually and at the same time. The built-in windscreens do an excellent job of blocking the wind. In extremely windy conditions, you may want a windscreen, but for breezy conditions, they're more than adequate. A huge pro for this stove is the fact that you can adapt different fuel types to use with this system. Right out of the box, you can run isobutane, but in the summertime, you can run very inexpensive butane, or in the colder months, you can run propane. There's a lot of flexibility here with this system and versatility. Next everybody, when it comes to the burner heads, each one has its own preheat tube, which increases the performance of this stove in cool to cold conditions. Basically, you fire up the stove, it heats up that tube, which vaporizes the fuel, which increases the performance of this stove. It gives the stove a constant level of performance even when the temperatures are low. Speaking of the performance, overall this is a very good performer. There's nothing that this stove system cannot do. If you want to boil water, you can do it. If you want to cook a meal, you can do it. This stove is going to do what you want it to do with no issues. Something else I like about this system here is that you can run just about any size pot, cup, pan, kettle, and so on this. Very small cups to very large pots. With that being said though, I do need to talk about this in more detail in the cons section, so we'll get there in just a minute. Another point to mention concerning the stove is the fact that it is well insulated, meaning the bottom of the stove does not get hot at all, so you don't have to worry about burning the surface that you put this on. Next, we have to talk about value. The value of this stove is incredible. A double burner stove that can run on any type of fuel that performs extremely well. Oh yes, the value for this is amazing. You can easily go out and spend $300–400 on a double burner stove, but yet this costs $60. This is truly amazing for many reasons. One of those reasons is the overall storage size. It packs down so small compared to the competition. Most double burner stoves take up a lot of space. This one here does not. And that takes us over to the cons that I have for this system. In the preview, I mentioned that I wasn't sure if I liked this case. After I've continued to test out this system, I really have grown to hate this. It is so fiddly, it is so small, it is so irritating to use. There's only one way that the stove fits inside of it, and it just barely fits. Oftentimes, you'll get the stove ready, you'll put it in there, and it just won't fit. You'll have to rotate it, turn it upside down. It is very, very irritating. Because of that, I want to replace it. But I should mention that we're lucky that it even comes with a case. Oftentimes, double burner stoves do not come with cases. This one does. So that is a pro. Yes, it comes with a case. Unfortunately, it's not that good. That is a very minor con for this system here. Another minor con is the fact that the burner heads are rather close together. Yes, you can use large pots on a single eye, but you cannot have two large pots on this system at the same time. It is designed more for medium to small pots to be on there at the same time. Another minor issue for this stove system here are the adjusters. There's nothing here to tell you which adjuster controls which burner. Because of that, you may want to make some markings on the stove itself and on the adjuster so that you know when you go to turn on the stove which one controls what. Next, this one is a moderate con. When it comes to the materials, they are very good, but they're not the strongest, especially the walls. The walls that act as a windscreen. As you can see here, I actually bent one of those, and that's because when I first got this stove, I was manhandling it, and I just spread it apart like that. That sounds awful, but you know what I'm saying, and I bent one of those walls. When you expand the stove, you need to grab it by the feet, by the legs, by the metal frame, not the windscreen walls. If you do, you can bend them. Another issue for this stove is the fact that there's no igniter built into it. I would have loved to have seen that. For $60, I can look past that issue. This is not a double burner stove system that costs $300. It doesn't even cost $100. So the fact that there's no igniters, it's okay, but it is a con. What I personally like to use to ignite this stove system is the Soto torch. It is an excellent performer and it makes easy work of igniting the burners. The last con that I have for this stove are the feet. While they are very stable, they're also very slick. So if you put this on, say, like an aluminum table, this system could slide around very easily. Because of that, you may want to get some sort of like silicone anti-slip mat, which is something that I often use with this stove. You will want something to hold it into place. Again, if you're using this on a slicker surface. And that, my friends, wraps up my list of pros and cons for the BRS-32 system. This is an excellent performer. The value is off the charts. It's fairly lightweight, very compact. It expands, becomes very large. In the end, I can easily recommend this product. It is, without a doubt, the most unique stove I've ever tested out, and it's awesome. I mean, just all around, it is an excellent stove with no real issues. All of the cons that I have here are very minor. All of them are very minor, minus the walls. Be careful with those windscreen walls. You can easily bend those like I have. But outside of that, folks, this is an excellent stove, again, that I can easily recommend. It is excellent. It is excellent, and it's going to perform extremely well for just about anything that you have in mind. Off-grid use, at the cabin, car camping, truck camping, pack rafting, canoeing, and all that stuff. I mean, this is an excellent product through and through. And in the end, this is a major go, in my opinion. I do not regret spending the money on this stove. When I purchased it, it was actually $54. At the time of filming, it's like $59, something like that. For that price, I can easily recommend this product. So that's my review. Now it's time for you all to sound off in the comment section down below. I have already heard from countless dozens of you all who have purchased this stove and who love it. I've also heard from quite a few other YouTubers who purchased this stove after my preview went up, and they love it too. It really is a great product. No doubt about it. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up before you go. Oh yeah. Until next time, take care, be well, strength and honor. Bye for now.